Exercise 4F, questions 1 through 6. 1. Find in gradient intercept form the equation of the line. Okay, the gradient intercept form is y equals mx plus, well, they've got k in the textbook, y equals mx plus b or plus c. A, with gradient 3 and y-intercept 0 minus 2, you can use that as the point on the line, and that's the gradient, and using the point gradient form, we have y minus y1 equals 3 times x minus x1, and that resolves to y equals 3x minus 2, or they say it's the y-intercept, so the y-intercept is minus 2, so you can directly just put in a 3 for m and a minus 2 in for b, and you get the same answer. B, with gradient minus 4 and passing through this point, or we can use the point gradient form. So we're going to use this point. We've got y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1, and that becomes y equals minus 4x plus 1. These are the answers from the book here. C, passing through these 2 points, well, we don't have the gradient, so we have to find it. We're going to use y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, and we find the gradients minus 2 and 3. We put the gradient in the point gradient form using one of those points, and I've chosen this one. Y minus y1 equals minus 2 on 3 x minus x1. And adding that bracket there, we continue on just by the substitution and resolving that to y equals this, and then we get y equals minus 2 on 3x minus 5 on 3. Question 2, determine the x and y intercepts of the following lines. A, y equals 5x. Well, the x-intercept is where y equals 0. When y equals 0, x equals 0, so the x-intercept is 0. The y-intercept is where x equals 0, so y equals 5 times x, so y equals 0. Now, the book has given the answers in coordinate points. It doesn't really ask for that, it just asks for the x and y intercepts. B, y equals minus 0.4x plus 3. Well, the x-intercept is where y equals 0. Where y equals 0, x equals 30 on 4, which is 15 on 2. The y-intercept is very clear because it is just that one, isn't it? It's where x equals 0, so y equals 0 plus 3, so y equals 3. C, minus 0.2x plus y equals 1. The x-intercept is where y equals 0, so that means x would be minus 5. The x-intercept is minus 5. The y-intercept is where x equals 0, so y would equal 1. Now, I've copied this from Maths is Fun, and that explains them. Remember, that's the slope and the gradient, that's the y-intercept. This is the answers from the book. 3, an air traffic controller examines 4 flight routes represented by straight lines given in A to D, A, B, C, and D. Draw the graphs of the 4 lines on the same pair of axes. Now, I've taken that from the back of the book, but we've worked these into y equals mx plus b to make it easier. That was already there, that's now like that, and that's that one. Now, I double check these in the back of the book, and they're okay. The only one with a negative slope, well, 2 of them, this one and that one, so A and C should be negative slope, and that's A and that's C, and they are negative. B is positive slope, D is a positive slope. The other things I checked were the y-intercepts, just to double check that this was correct, and then I also checked the slope by looking at rise over run. Good. B, determine 1, the x and y intercepts of route A. Well, route A is this one, so we're looking for that point and that point. The x-intercept is minus 3, which is what it looks like here, and the y-intercept is also minus 3, and that's what it is there. Now, that was calculated because the x-intercept is where y equals 0, and the y-intercept is where when x equals 0. These are the answers from the book here. 2, the intersection point of routes A and B. When A crosses B is when the x and y coordinates are the same. So this is A and B. We're trying to find that point. Well, at that point, the x and y values are the same. So that means we can equate one with the other. So we just put, they're both equal to y, so we know at that point these y's are the same. So minus x minus 3 equals 0.5x plus 3. And you resolve for x, and you find x equals minus 4. Once you find minus 4, you put the minus 4 back into either that one or that one. And it was a bit easier to put it into this one. So I had y equals y minus, and then minus 4, and then minus 3, so that equals 1. So the intersection is at minus 4 and 1, and that's what it looks like. Next one, show that roots C and D have the same y-intercept. Well, we've already established that because C is y equals mx plus b. That last number there, the b, is the y-intercept. This is y equals 2x plus 5, or that is also the y-intercept, and they're both 5. Therefore, by observation, C and D have the same y-intercept, b equals 5. 4. Albina lives in Belgium. She travels to the USA where the temperature is measured in degrees Fahrenheit. She wants to know how hot it is in degrees C if the thermometer shows 83 degrees Fahrenheit. Use the fact that water boils at 100 degrees Celsius and 200 degrees Fahrenheit, and that water freezes at 0 degrees C and 32 degrees Fahrenheit. 1. Plot the 2 points representing the given information on a pair of axes labelled degrees Fahrenheit on the x-axis and degrees Celsius on the y-axis. Now in the back of the book, they've actually put F on the y-axis and C on the x-axis, so I redid that one here. Sketch the line passing through these 2 points. So the F is on the x-axis, C is on the y-axis. I've gone from 0 to 200 here and 0 to 100 here, and I've put the points on. That's 212 Fahrenheit is 100 degrees Celsius, and 32 Fahrenheit is 0 degrees Celsius. B. Write an equation for the relationship between Celsius and Fahrenheit, where F represents degrees Fahrenheit and C represents degrees Celsius. Write your equation in the form C equals mF plus K. Well, the first thing is to find the slope of this line. We can do that by using the y2 minus y1, so that's 100 minus 0, over x2 minus x1, that's 212 minus 32. That becomes 5 on 9. Put it into the point slope form. We have 1 point. We'll just choose one of them. Let's choose this one, easy point to choose. Y minus 0, y minus y1, y minus 0 equals 5 over 9. That's our m times x minus x1, and that would be 32. So y equals 5 on 9, x minus 5 on 9 times 32, which is C equals 5 on 9, f minus 160 on 9. C, write down the gradient of the equation. Well, that's the gradient. That's our m. Y equals mx plus c, or b. So that's 5 on 9. Interpret the meaning of the gradient. Well, this has come from the answers. It says the gradient is the amount that the temperature change is measured in degrees C when the temperature measured in degrees F changes. Well, that's good. That's the independent variable there. That's the dependent variable, and so C is on the y-axis, as it should be. And also that would indicate that, where F is the independent variable on the x-axis. E, write down the y-intercept of the line representing this equation. Now their answer is wrong. They've got 32. Their graph was done the other way. But the y-intercept is just that point there, and that point there is minus 160 on 9, and it will be negative because the y-intercept has already gone below y equals 0. So it's going to be somewhere down here. F, interpret the meaning of the y-intercept. Well, the y-intercept is the degrees C when the degrees Fahrenheit is 0. Because the y-intercept here, the Fahrenheit is 0, because that line is F is 0. G, find the temperature in degrees Celsius if the temperature is 83 degrees Fahrenheit. Well, we just use our formula and put 83 in for here. So we've got 5 on 9 times 83 minus 160 on 9, and we get 28.3 C to 3 significant figures. H, find the temperature in degrees Fahrenheit if the temperature is minus 10 degrees C. Well, we just do the same. We've got minus 10 equals 5 on 9 times F minus 160 on 9. Make F the subject. That's 9 on 5 times 160 on 9 minus 10, and that's 14 degrees Fahrenheit. I, explain how you could rearrange the terms of the equation you obtain in part B so that it gives the relationship of C and F in the form F equals M1C plus K1. They've got the 1 here because these will now be different because, see, that M is 5 on 9, and the new one's going to be 9 on 5, and this K1 was minus 160 on 9, and our new K, our K1 is 32. This existing one was K, right? There. Well, they've written it in word form here, but I've just done it. We've gone C equals that, and then we get to that there. Okay, and then I expanded it, and we got to that, and 160 on 5 is 32, but they're good steps there, and that's the same. 5, a landscape architect has planned 4 new paths in a park. The paths are straight line as shown on the diagram below. Find the equations of the paths L1, L2, L3, and L4. Well, through interpretation of graph, the first thing we're going to do is to find the y-intercept and the slope. So I found the slope first, then the y-intercept. That's okay. So we find the slope for line 1, and I've got that. That's this one here, so I'm thinking I'm going to use that point and that point. I can see there's a rise of 2 and there's a run of 4. 2 over 4 is a half, so the slope is a half. And then, by the way, that is a positive slope. That's what we got here, a half. The y-intercept is 0. It's passing through 0, 0. Therefore, the line is y equals a half x. Remember, y equals mx plus b. b is 0. M is a half. Line 2. This is line 2 going straight up. Well, that's m is undefined. It's got no slope. And that line is actually x equals minus 1. So it's x equals minus 1. Line 3. This one is a slope of 0. It is actually y equals 5. Okay. Because that line is y equals 5. Remember, the x-axis is y equals 0. That line is y equals 5. It's got no slope. Line 4, now line 4 is negative here, so we expect a negative answer. Okay, so this is the rise, and it's minus 4, and the run is 4. So it's minus 4 and 4, which equals minus 1. The y-intercept is 4, we can see that clearly there. So y equals mx plus b becomes y equals minus x plus 4. Question 6, Maria works as a part-time waitress in the summer and earns $30 per day plus 2% of all food and drink sales for the day. A, write an equation to represent her daily earnings, A, in US dollars in relation to the amount X in US dollars of all sales of food and drinks during the day. Well, her earnings equal 0.02 times X because she gets 2%, that is 2%, 2 over 100, X plus 30, so she gets the $30, and that's the minimum that she can earn, and then for the sales, she'll get 0.02 of the sales as well. Determine the gradient, interpret its meaning. Well, that's the gradient, okay, so the gradient is 0.02, so that's 2 over 100, so for every $100 of sales, Maria is paid $2. The book says the amount Maria earned per dollar spent. Okay, so she gets $0.02 for $1. I've done that. She gets $2 for 100. Same. C, determine the y-intercept, interprets its meaning. Well, the y-intercept is 30. The y-intercept 30 is the minimum amount she will receive each day when there are no sales of food and drink. Okay, they've got 0.3 here. That's a mistake. That should be 0.30, and that's indicated here. On the next part, draw the graph. D, draw the graph of the line representing Maria's earnings. A. Okay, that's A. Independent variable here was the sales. That's X. Okay, so they've drawn the line there. They've got 0.30. That's when X is 0. Sales is 30. Okay, and the other thing we know is the slope, and the slope is rise over run, which in our case is 2 over 100, so that should have a slope of 2 over 100. E, find what Maria's earnings would be if the amount of food and drink sold during a certain day were $2,400. Well, that we're going to use this, that's 2,400. 0.02 times 2,400 plus 30. And that resolves to that, and that's 48 plus 30, and that's 78. And then it was added to their answer, the graph from the back of the book there. So the point would be 2400. If you go up and hit that line, you should get to 78, because that'll be the earnings. That's from the book.